Hey guys, welcome to another DaVinci Resolve 17 tutorial, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to edit videos inside of Resolve. DaVinci Resolve 17 is free video editing software that allows you to create amazing quality professional videos for free without watermarks when you export your final videos. Before I begin, if you are new to my YouTube channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell to stay notified for my next uploads. You can also follow my social media to see some great behind the scenes content from video projects that I'm working on. This video is designed for beginners, showing the basics of video editing inside of DaVinci Resolve 17. So if you are an advanced editor, this video may not be for you. But if you are an advanced editor that is curious about Resolve and is thinking about switching from other editing softwares like Premiere Pro, Final Cut, or Sony Vegas, this video may actually benefit you. I'm currently using the studio version, which has a few extra features compared to the free version, but everything I'll be showing you in this video, you will be able to follow along inside of the free version. If you want to know the differences between the free version and the studio version, I've actually made a video over here going over in detail about the differences between them. And since we're talking about free, I've also provided a link to some free overlay graphics packs that you can download from Cinepack's website, which I'll be putting the link in the description below. And also, if you want to purchase any of their products, I've got a discount coupon code, McFilmin 5, and you can get $5 off of your orders. Anyway, let's open up DaVinci Resolve 17. Okay, so when you open up DaVinci Resolve 17, you'll see this database pop up, and that just basically will host your projects. So every time you create a new project, this is where your projects will live. So I've created some folders and some projects already, but we're going to be creating a new project. Editing, and let's click create. Okay, so by default, when DaVinci Resolve opens up, you will be in the Cut tab. Now, in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to edit inside of the Edit tab, but there are two ways you can edit in Resolve. You can use the Cut tab or the Edit tab. There are a bunch of different tabs at the bottom here, but this video, we're specifically just going to be looking at the Edit tab and the Deliver tab for when we are finished with our project. And let's import some footage. So you can import the footage by going to File and going to Import and Media. You can actually just click and drag video clips, which is my preferred way to edit. I just like dragging and dropping into my media pool. Once you drag your clips into the media pool into your project, you'll get this prompt because by default the project setting is set to 24 frames. And I shot this at 25 frames, so we just want to click change, and that will just change your timeline frame rate settings to 25 frames. As you can see, we've got our media pool here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly show you, just in case you've got a few different bits of footage that has different frame rates. So if you want to change your project settings, you can actually go down to the bottom right corner here and just click project settings, this little cog wheel, and you can just check your timeline resolution and your timeline frame rate. You want to make sure that your timeline frame rate is 25 frames and your playback frame rate is, and also your video format is. Your timeline resolution can be anything that you want it to be. If you're using the free version, the max resolution is Ultra HD. I prefer to use HD when I'm editing just because a lot of my exports are 1080p, so I just leave it there. And then if you have changed anything, just click save. I haven't changed anything, so I'm just going to cancel that. I'm just going to have a very simple interview setup, so I'm just going to bring in my clips. Okay, so I've just dragged in my interview clip. It's actually not an interview clip, it's just some old footage of me talking from one of my old videos. So I'm just going to double click, and that will bring up a preview window. And I'm just going to drag and find some bits of footage that I want to use. You can actually just set your in and out points. So any bits of footage that you want to use, you can use shortcuts on your keyboard. I for in, and you can see that's created a light gray bar, and then we can just click and drag and find our out point. So we want it to be about here. So I'm going to click O on my keyboard for the out point, and I'm just going to click and drag. You can also zoom in and out of your timeline as well. So I'm holding Alt and I'm using my mouse wheel, middle mouse scroll wheel. You can also adjust your zoom on your timeline by going over here and adjusting this slider over here, or you can click these three or these two actually and just do a full timeline view, or zoomed in all the way full detail view. So let's just say we want the clip to actually start from here. We can trim this. We can do it a few different ways. You can just simply drag the beginning of the frame, so you can see my arrow changes to this sort of icon here, and then we can just click and drag it to the beginning of our playhead, or I'm just going to Control Z, or you can actually cut it. So you can do that by using shortcuts on your keyboard, or you can use these up here. I'm just going to click B, which is the shortcut for our blade tool, and I'm just going to click where our playhead is, and it's just going to create a cut. I'm going to go back to arrow key, and I'm just going to select this clip here. There's two ways you can delete it. So I'm just going to hit backspace, and that will keep our video, this video here, where it is in the timeline. I'm just going to go Control Z, and I'm going to go back to this clip, and then if you want it to collapse and do like a ripple delete, you can just hit the delete key, and that will make your video collapse to the beginning of where the other clip was. So I'm just going to undo that because I want to have a little bit of a gap, so I'm going to go backspace, and that's basically how you can cut inside of Resolve. Let's just say with this interview we want to trim this gap here because you can see there's a bit of dead air in our audio, and then just create some more cuts. That'll help speed things up. When you're editing, you want to like make it more punchy, and you want to cut out the ums and ahs. Let's add some B-roll clips now. So let's just say our interviewee is talking about a certain subject, and you want to have some footage to kind of represent what they're saying. So let's just do that. Let's just find a clip, double click this, and I'm going to select it. Okay, cool. So I'm going to select my in and out point. So I like this part of the clip. With B-roll clips, you probably just want to bring in just the video clip. So if you want to bring just the video clip in, you've got this film strip icon here, and that's just for the video only. So I'm just going to add a few more clips in just to make it seem like there's a bit more of an edit. Let's get into the fun part and do some creative editing. So what I'm going to do is let's just say we want to add some transitions to make your edits pop and look much nicer and much more professional. So to do that, we'll just go over to the effects library at the top left, and we want to make sure that we are in the video transitions, and we've got a whole bunch of transitions here. Now I recommend, I'm just going to bring my playhead to the beginning of our B-roll clip, because there's a really cool feature inside of DaVinci Resolve 17 that I'm just going to show you. So if you hover over each of these transitions, you get a little preview before adding the transition onto your video, so you can see if the transition that you're going to add you're actually going to like. I like this transition here, and then I'm just going to click and drag, and I'm going to bring it over to our B-roll clip, and I'm just going to drag it on there, and I'm just going to click on that transition part, and I'm just going to adjust it. So now I can make it go quicker, or I can make it go a bit longer. You can also adjust it here in your inspector tab. If that's not checked, check that. So you want to make sure you're in the transition side, and you can adjust some more parameters here. So I'm just going to leave it at default for now, and I'm just going to throw more transitions in. That's how you add transitions inside of Resolve onto your video clips to make it a bit more interesting. Let's just say now we want to add some titles to our video. So you can do that by still being in the effects library. We're just going to go over to titles, and same thing with the transitions. We can actually hover over each of these titles and get a bit of a preview of what these text looks like. You can do basic titles, which is pretty much here. I prefer to use fusion titles, which is these categories here, because these are like some motion graphics titles that you can use to really make your edits look much more professional and make it look like you've spent so much more time on your edits. So let's just find a title that we like. I might do a horizontal slide. Then when we drag our title in, you'll notice that there's like a red line at the top here. This just basically means that since it's a Fusion title, it hasn't rendered yet, and once it goes blue, that means it's going to play back much smoother. There we go, and you can of course change the text by clicking on your title, and let's just go over to our inspector window and make sure we're in the video, and let's go over and change our text to something like test, then go to our second text and call it edit. With these titles, they're also transparent, so they're not on a black background. It's just because we've got nothing underneath it. It's black, but you can also just drag it on top of your footage and you've got it overlaying onto your footage as well. Also, another transition that you can do without going over to video transitions, if you want a simple fade, you can hover over your clip and you can just click and drag this and it creates a bit of a fade. So now it fades on. You can also do that with your audio, which gives it a bit more of a fade. You also get another option with that. You also get like another sort of keyframe point that you can adjust, so you can create like a curve just so it helps smooth out the audio transition. Let's just say that we want to adjust the volume. As you can see, our waveform is quite small and we want to make it larger. You can adjust your volume a couple different ways. You can go to the middle of your audio clip and just click and drag. You'll see that it changes to these arrows that point up and down, and you just click and drag and you can adjust the audio that way. If you want to get more of a precise volume adjustment, you can just select your clip and go over to the inspector window, go over to audio and adjust your volume that way. That'll give you more of a precise volume adjustment. You can also adjust your pan and pitch and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, so let's just say this volume here is good. It's at a good level and you've already made quite a few cuts and you've got the same clip and you want to apply all of the effects that you've just done. I'm just going to hit the Alt key and then V. Any adjustments that you've made with transforming, any sort of Fusion effects or plugins that you've put on top, you can pretty much paste all of those over to your other clip. Same with the audio attributes as well. That includes the volume and audio plugins and equalizer as well. It's adjusted the audio levels. Okay, so I've just added some music into my project. I'm just going to click and drag it onto my timeline into audio layer 2. I'm going to give you a quick tip on some mixing here. So I've just showed you how to adjust the volume on here. When it comes to music, I like to look at the mixer and I like to get the music to around somewhere between -30 and -40 dB. So I'll just bring the volume down to about -30 dB. Might just increase the volume. I want to get more of a specific adjustment. So that's a good level there, just because it's sitting around the -30 and 40. And then our audio 1 track over here, which is our interviewee talking, we want them to be nice and loud. Let's just say we want this test edits text part to have the music really loud, and then once we get into our interviewee, our talking head video, we want it to be nice and soft, and we can add keyframes to do that. So let's just go make sure our music is selected, and we're going to go to our volume and create a keyframe to about, I usually like to have it like mid first couple words. So what we'll do is select our clip, we'll just create a keyframe, and then you can see the keyframe over here, and I'm just going to go backwards, and we're just going to have our fade start around here. So I'm going to create another keyframe. So now our audio 2 is quite loud, and then it fades down, and our talking head is more predominant in our edit. So let's just say we're happy with that. Alright, so let's just say this is the end of our video. We're happy with it and we want to export it so we can show our client, or we want to upload it to our Facebook, our YouTube channels, Instagrams, whatever your websites. You can just go over to the deliver. You want to make sure that this gray bar at the top is selecting the bits of the timeline that we actually want to export, because whatever is in here will be exported. Anything out, if you've got a few bits of clips just hanging here, you're gonna want to make sure that that's not going to be dragged out. So let's choose our settings. So by default it's in custom. You can do YouTube export, Vimeo, Twitter. I prefer to use custom. I don't like doing the YouTube export. I haven't really played around with that. I've just always exported custom. Rename our file, our video clip. We're going to call this test, and then we're going to go to the location at the bottom, and we're just going to browse, and we're going to choose where we want to save it. I'm just going to save it on this hard drive. Okay, so we want to go down, after we've chosen our location, we want to go down to render, and we want to make sure it's checked single clip, not individual clips. So what single clip does is, this is what it's going to export all of these videos as one, and then if you do individual clips, it's going to create 5 different video clips. So for this video we don't want that. We choose our format that we want to save it in. I like to do MP4 H.265, so you can just go with H.264, or QuickTime is a good setting. We're going to scroll down, make sure our resolution is where we want it to be. We want to make sure our resolution is set to our timeline resolution, which is 1080p. Make sure it's 25 frames. And then we're just going to make sure it's at the best quality. And then I'm going to go over to our audio, and I'm going to make sure that we've got export audio selected, because I've done that before where somehow Resolve has unchecked the audio. You can add it to the render queue, and that's not going to render it. So you've actually got to go over here and hit render and make sure that it's selected. Now if you want to do multiple different exports, if there's like different codecs you want to do, you can actually, and once you've added it to render queue, you can actually go back and change the settings to another format and codec. So let's just say we want GoPro Cineform as one codec option when we export, and then we'll just change the file name to something else just so it doesn't overwrite our other one that we've just done. And then make sure the quality is at best. Go to render queue, and then you want to hit shift, and then make sure all of your jobs that are in the render queue are selected, and then you can click render all, and that will render out your videos. So yeah, that's how you do very basic editing inside of DaVinci Resolve 17. Hope you guys found this video helpful. Don't forget to give it a like if you did. Hit the subscribe button if you're new, and click the notification bell to stay notified for my next uploads. And I'll see you guys next time.